Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Sunshine State of the Market. I'm Joe DeMarco with Hartford Funding.
Steve Zalunardo with Treviso Realty.
Yeah, great to be back in front of the camera again, talking about this beautiful state of Florida we live in, and talk a little bit about what's going on in the market, talk about some fun stuff, and I'll kick it off to Steve. What's going on
in the real estate side?
In the real sites, yeah.
So what we're seeing in the market right now, which is very positive for sellers going on, because obviously we're in a buyer's market, still technically are, but we're seeing inventory drop down. So our inventory's dropped to 25,000 units from a height of 28,000. So that's substantial. Considering we're going off into the off season now and inventory is still dropping off. We had sales doubled from week over week since we reported last. So this is all good news for us here, and we're starting to see more of a trend clearly with snowbirds staying longer in the market. Like they're not, before they used to leave before Easter,
yeah,
and now they're staying to Easter, and even they're starting to even stay after Easter. So that's obviously good for us,
yeah.
Because it starts leaning up a little bit, but also people are still spending money in the state, which is awesome.
Yeah. I heard I heard today on the radio some snowbirds were all talking about reason they were staying a little bit longer is because they kept checking the weather back home in either Chicago, New York, or wherever they came from.
Yeah,
the weather was still kind of crappy there, so stay
mediocre. Yeah.
Then some got into this week where the weather really started to heat up here, just like the real estate market in Florida. They said that's it, we've had enough, it's time to go. Right? The heat is.
It emptied out. You saw the parking lots.
It did. Yeah.
Literally this week.
Even leaving today for lunch, it was so much easier to get out on 41 than typically it is any other time. But as far as the mortgage market goes, too, what's going on? We're continuing to see a slow dip in interest rates. Nothing crazy quick, but we are back under 7%. We've been locking some loans with seller concessions and stuff as low as 6.125 right now. So it is a buyer's market. Buyers are getting seller concessions that they're using to buy the interest rates down. I've seen a lot more activity this week than I've seen in the past couple of months. Not only activity, but actual contracts being written and deals coming in the door. So super excited about that, moving forward. Hopefully the trend continues for sure.
Let me ask you a question. What has to happen in order for the rates to go down besides Jerome Powell? Or is that the whole piece of the puzzle?
Yeah, it's, obviously the little tension he's got with Trump right now, I just feel like maybe he's, just kind of fighting back a little bit because he doesn't want to do exactly what Trump wants him to do. But, again, I personally just watched that 10-year yield. I watch that yield. As that yield comes down, obviously, I've always said rates come down with it. What it's going to take to push interest rates back down to where,
how do we get to 5%?
I don't know. I'm not an economist, so
what would have to happen? Would Jerome Powell have to drop those rates? Keep dropping the
Yeah, we're going to have to see rate cuts.
Policy rate?
We're probably going to have to see 4 or 5 different rate cuts over the next few months or the rest of the year. But
so if he dropped at 1%, let's say in total, let's say he did 4 drops of quarter point each. What would that do to
that would probably get us down, closer to 0.5 to 3/4 of % in rate. So that would get us.
So if he dropped to 1 point, it'll drop to 0.5 to 3 points.
Yeah, probably somewhere close to there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, if we could get rates even right now, typically if we could get rates closer to 6.5% right now, then with seller concessions and stuff, now you can start buying interest rates down
to 5.
Into the 5s. But again, that's just not my cup of tea. Know what it's going to take to push the market down. I just watch the data, what's going on, and I see that it is moving in the right direction. So whatever Jerome Powell's doing or not doing or Trump's doing, I feel that there are things happening behind the scenes that are helping push.
You think JP's going to get fired?
I don't think so. He hired the guy, right?
Did he originally?
Yeah. He hired the guy. I don't know. I don't think he's going to fire.
I think in 26 they were saying that
he's only got another
3 or 4 months to the end of the year, right?
He's got a short term, so we'll see what happens. When the
Could the government, like the federal government, buy into the yield to bring it down?
Well, they do. They buy bonds.
They buy bonds themselves to bring it down?
Yes. So
why don't they just buy a shitload of it and bring it down?
Again, I know they buy bonds. When they buy up a bunch of bonds, that does help too. I know they stopped buying bonds at one point, so that makes a big difference. But again, the mechanics of how that really affects, I'm not real 100% on that stuff. But yeah, but they definitely buy mortgage back.
They buy them all back.
Yeah.
So I was talking to a client right now. He's talking about, like, he's from up north. He's down here looking at investments because nothing makes sense up north, as you know. And what he was saying was, how's the market? And I said, to be honest, we're like naturalized citizens and foreign nationals all closing between 7 and 8% rates right now. Yeah. The market's still moving, not bad. Yeah. Could you imagine that they came down into this 5s?
Oh.
I said 1-2 points. So finally now we're purchasing new construction.
Yeah.
And with the income that we're generating through the rent, we finally have passive income now. So you can buy an investment property for 200 and change and have passive income right off the hop. So these are cash flowing properties. We haven't had that in about 2 years. I could not sell anything that made sense financially.
Oh, because of the rate was a little bit too high, right?
But it was the price of the house and the rate. Before the house was here and the rate was here, so it made passive cash flow. Now the rate was up here and price are up here. We were in cash negative. Now rates are still here, prices are down here, so now we got cash flow.
Yeah.
So now I told someone right now, like, you can buy a small little townhouse, $220K, you're gonna cash flow like $400 per month with 30% down at 7.75%. And imagine in 1 to 2 to 3 years when these rates come down to 5 points, is that going to be $800-900 passive income? Plus, you're going to have more rent, like appreciation with rent, mortgage pay down. So these are good little investment properties right now we're trying to push.
Yeah. I've always said, even with rates being a little bit higher right now, especially like you said, now that you can generate passive income, now's the time to buy,
100%.
Get in, because you can get in now while you still have the opportunity to get good prices, get sellers concessions, and heck, we just closed that loan just recently. The guy got 7.625 on an investment property being not even a United States citizen, foreign national product. So. Yeah. I think that's an amazing deal. And we're doing a lot more of them right now too. So,
and then even another thing too with the market itself, like I was talking to another client that was on the phone. We were doing a webinar. If you're aware, we have a webinar from Canadians moving to US.
Yes.
We have like 70 registrants right now, which they usually, when I do these, normally they're like 2 to 3 to 4 people per registration. So we're going to have well over like 150 people, which is going to be great, right? Talking to these people from up north was, you were buying, this is why I started investing in the States back in 2021, was like you had to buy property based on appreciation, but you're cash negative. So you were paying a property in hopes that it appreciated, which is the stupidest investment model ever. Have you ever read like 3 pages of any investment book? You don't do that. You got to make sure it's paying you to own the investment. People were actually in reverse because they're hoping on appreciation. Yeah. So many people got in trouble with that up north.
Yeah, of course.
So now it's like, finally you're going to have a product, you're going to buy a product, you're going to buy it, and it's going to pay you to own it, which is the whole point of financial freedom at the end. So this is finally where we've just hit this threshold, and I'm very excited about it. So even with this, we're having this webinar now with all these families, a lot of them either are going to migrate here, which you'll get the back end of this, but also a lot of them probably, if they don't move, they're going to move money out. So you're going to see a big shitload of cash coming in with all these investments. And this is what I'm telling even my US clients here, when I represent them as their listing agent. Not only do they get exposure here like everyone else would do, is you're having exposure across the border where a lot of these people want to get money out of that country just based on not to get too far down the rabbit hole, but in politics and stuff like that. But they're all moving money down south. So we're going to see a good trend. Next 3 to 6 months, a big influx of cash, and hopefully we can capitalize that as a business. Clearly, that's what we do, but ultimately getting people the product that they want, that cash flows, they're happy and money's safe, and everyone's goes home happy.
100%.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm pretty.
You ready to fucking rock?
I'm pretty excited about what I'm seeing. I think the future's starting to look good again for this business. It's definitely down here in Florida. At the end of the day, it's still paradise down here, right? It's still a place to be. We talked about it in the last episode. It's finally that time of the year where golf prices drop. I planted an amazing golf course yesterday. $50 to play a course that would probably cost me $250 to play up north. So I mean, and nobody out on the course. I mean, you get done for a round in under 3.5 hours. I mean, it's crazy.
Look at this. So people are again the same client because he's down here on investing. He's like, what do you think in the future of like the States and Florida to be on it? Because you guys from up north. I said, what people don't understand, even with the tariffs and everything, not to go too deep into it, but you're creating jobs back into the Northeast, the Midwest, like a lot of these new jobs. You've created between, on paper, 5 trillion, Trump says 8 to 9 trillion. So every trillion is 1% GDP growth to the United States economy, which is insane.
Yeah.
But these are sticky jobs where you have manufacturing, you have all these big facilities coming in, chip manufacturing. These are like AI. This is the future.
All pledging all that money. Yeah.
And jobs.
And jobs, right.
So,
exactly.
picture this. Now, a lot of these jobs are going Midwest, Northeast, well, the usual places where they're going to have, and some Arizona, Texas, a lot of Texas and Arizona. But ultimately, a lot of these people in these colder climates, you give them high-paying jobs, blue collar or not, white collar, whatever it is. They're making making a lot more money. They're putting more money away. They're great pension, great benefits. Where do they buy when they have enough money? Where's their second home?
It's always here. It's
always been. So right now, all that's currently happening here with the tariffs is bringing all the jobs back, which is a good thing for America. Yeah. Clearly, I'm very pro what's currently happening. What's going to happen is they're going to be earning all this extra money, and like say 3, 5, 7, 8 years down the road, when it starts to generate into like a real lifestyle for them, they're going to buy down here, and we're still going to be in the business where we're going to kind of take on that flow. So you look at the future. You got to look at the future of economics, like the road down. We're in a good spot, just based on everything that's currently happening here in the U.S. And rates come down. The country is very optimistic because you start looking at, you talk to people from up north. They don't understand the spirit that's down here in the U.S. right now, and I got to explain to them what you're seeing and hearing is a very total different thing that's actually happening because the spirit is here.
And when you say up north, you mean across the border. Yeah.
Into Canada.
Of course. Yeah.
But what they're hearing and seeing, and then it's like you got to understand the spirit is here. The American pride is back. So what that does, it generates the country, right?
Yeah, I mean, the American pride has always been here. I mean, forget about it being back. It's always been here, and you can listen to all the media stuff you want to listen to and all the doom and gloom.
But it was kind of dull with Biden in power.
It was scary. It was definitely dull, and who knows where that would have went had that. Again,
it was terrifying.
Whoever side you're on, but at the end of the day, it's great here in the U.S. Proud to be an American, right? Proud to live here. And, the real estate market, the mortgage market, guys, honestly, we had some times back, COVID times when rates were ridiculous.
What was the rates back then?
I mean, I was looking at clients that I closed back at 2.75%. I think there were some that were like 2.5%, but those were unheard of times.
Are those 30-year locked in?
And those were 30-year fixed mortgages.
They're never selling that house.
And that's why a lot of people don't want to get away from that stuff. But not to go deep into that, but those were just unprecedented times, right? I mean, that was a small window that happened, and a lot of people just kind of got that all stuck in their head. And then all of a sudden, when rates started to trickle up, everybody thought the mortgage market was falling apart. Guys, still in the history, the last 45 years, their interest rates today are still about 2 points lower than they've averaged over the last 40 some odd years. So I mean.
So before COVID, what was the rate?
So right before COVID, I remember
2019.
I remember rates getting up. I think in the close, they were in the high 6s, 7s. I think I remember.
Still.
Then I remember them coming. There was a small window there, if I remember correctly. It's hard to remember that. But then I remember seeing rates maybe right around COVID. They were right before COVID, in the mid 5s, maybe somewhere around there, 5.75, and then of course everybody thought, oh man, once we were all locked down, real estate agents weren't going to be able to sell houses. Nobody was going to do anything. We were all going to be
for 2 weeks.
And then all of a sudden, the floodgates opened, and then it was just you couldn't take any more business. You had to turn business away because you just didn't have the capacity to handle it.
And you couldn't find products back then, even when we were in bidding wars, 50, 60, 70 offers on a property.
Yeah,
it was nuts.
But so those were unprecedented times. But and I got off track there. But at the end of the day, everything is still great. There's opportunities out there right now to buy. Don't I don't think people should be sitting on the sidelines. It's not sitting there. I did a podcast or a video not too long ago. Time in the market beats trying to time the market, right?
Yeah.
So just get in the market now while you can, because there's opportunity right now. So things are great. Sky isn't falling.
No, it's not.
The market's great. Yeah.
You look at the transition of even pricing. So obviously there's inflation because of the low rates.
Right.
Supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
No supply, high demand because of the rates. Prices get inflated quite high. Now, ultimately, we are seeing that trend where we have enough supply, more supply than what we need, to be honest, and then the rates at a higher rate, and kind of slows down the demand, but it's also slowing prices down. So finally, now we're kind of hit like that lull period where the prices have adjusted from the height of the market about 20 points. Let's say from 21 to right now, it's about 20 points, and we're starting to go sideways. And the only thing right now we got to worry about is obviously builders competing against resale products, like in an area like that we live in. That's the only thing. But I've noticed there now in the last, let's say, month, 2 months, is where the builders have hit their rock, and they're not going anywhere below that, and because they're selling at that point. So I don't know. I'm going to follow obviously the summer, see how that goes, if they're going to drop more. But I've seen like Pulte, for example, save $100,000 for those 10 days only.
Yeah.
They've ran that for 4 months. It's the longest 10 days I've ever seen in my entire life. So what I've noticed with that is they're running these, obviously, promotion. People come in out of town. They're like, oh, we better jump on this. They're kind of making prey on people. But the good thing is the price have not dipped below that. So you see a 100K, bump off, but ultimately they're starting higher. So it always ends up at that bottom price that they've had
keeping the value of our homes where they should be.
Well, they kind of fucked us a bit, but I'm saying at least it's not going any further down.
Yeah.
So now resale is starting to get to a point where it's starting to reach where you can actually you can time and price out properties pretty accurately of where they're going to sell.
Yeah.
Because before it was you get at 6 and it'd be at 5. So now it's like if you're at 5, you're going to go 510, 520. Then you're going to list. You got a little bit of plain room.
Yeah.
So you're starting to get like a balanced market, which is good for everybody, to be honest. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's good. It looks promising. On the right track.
Definitely on the right track. It's great. Anyway, anything exciting else? What'd you do? Cinco de Mayo. Did you do anything for Cinco de Mayo? I know I did. I hurt myself on Cinco de Mayo. Yeah.
No, I didn't do anything. We stayed home. We had Nicholas's communion on Sunday, so it was Sunday? So Saturday rather. Yeah. That's pretty much it. The weekend just stayed with the family.
Okay.
Golfed on Friday.
We went out for tacos and then went to the backyard social.
Did you really?
Yeah,
With the family?
The wife and I and
neighbors,
co-worker and his wife, and then of course I said we got up and had to enjoy a beautiful round of golf, not feeling my best.
This kid kills me.
It's great.
Yeah, no, we didn't do anything. We stayed home. Yeah, that's it.
All right,
Wrap it up.
That's it. Wrap it up. Until next week.
See you guys.
See you guys.